Friday Times, 8 February 2023, Increase of Forced Islam Conversion in Pakistan. Hindus made up 20% of the population when Pakistan was founded. Forced conversions have decreased this figure to a few percentage points. Islam was introduced into India to divide and conquer the population and use the native population as brainwashed stooges for foreign invaders. Every Pakistani citizen has the right to profess, practice, and propagate their religion under Article 20 of the Constitution, but forced conversion is a serious issue that has to be criminalized. UN human rights experts voiced grave concerns over the alleged increase in kidnappings, forced conversions, and weddings of young girls and women from religious minorities in Pakistan in a statement released in Geneva on January 16, 2023. They emphasized the need for quick action to stop this practice and provide victims justice. The specialists include Mama Fatima Singhate, a special rapporteur on the sale and sexual exploitation of children, and Omoyo Obokata, a special rapporteur on modern-day forms of slavery. Siobhan Mullally, special rapporteur on human trafficking, Reem Al-Salem, special rapporteur on violence against women and girls, Nazi Lagane, special rapporteur on freedom of religion or belief, Fernand Devaran, special rapporteur on minority issues, Dorothy Estrada Tank, Chair, Ivana Radosic, Vice Chair, and Ms. Elizabeth Broderick, Meskerum Tekane, and Melissa Breddy, the Working Group on Discrimination. In contravention of international human rights legislation, the experts said, girls as young as 13 are being taken from their families, trafficked to places far from their homes, forced to marry men who are frequently twice their age, and forced to convert to Islam. Persikla Dilawar, a 15-year-old Christian girl, was taken from her family's home in Zamundari, Faisalabad, in the first week of March 2022, in front of her parents. The child's father, Dilawar, said they were sound asleep when Muhammad Qasim, a Muslim, stormed into their house and kidnapped his daughter. If they informed anyone, he threatened to kill them. As a result, he became a Christian and wed Persikla. Sainha Kinsa Iqbal, a pastor's daughter, appeared in a Lahore court on September 17, 2020, over 2 months after she had vanished. She was wearing a burqa and was accompanied by around 20 family members of her husband, who is twice her age. The youngster asserted that she had converted to Islam, had chosen her husband voluntarily, and now regarded her parents as a threat. In contrast to her school and baptismal records, which show her age as 16, the marriage certificate lists her age as 20. It's common practice to claim that a girl was 18 at the time, present a fraudulent birth certificate, or assert that she had attained puberty to conceal forced conversions to Islam. The girl is allegedly an adult, and more questions are not raised. Simran Kumari, a teenage Hindu girl from Godki, was abducted in August 2020 and then magically reappeared at the shrine of Mian Mitaz Barchundi Sharif, which is notorious for converting thousands of Hindu females to Islam. Currently, Kumari's family is not allowed to visit their daughter, and she has been wed to her Muslim captor. Kashman Gulzar, a 12-year-old girl, was reportedly held captive by a 45-year-old Muslim man for 5 months, during which time she was made to shovel feces all day while dangling from a chain. When Kashman got to her parents, she was discovered to have cut from the shackles on her ankles. In Pakistan, minority girls are particularly vulnerable due to their financial illiteracy, status as youngsters, women, and members of specific religious minorities. Concerns regarding the necessity of shielding vulnerable minority girls from forced conversions are raised by the horrifying and heartbreaking incidents that surface daily. The horrific stories don't change, but the identities and locations do. Their fates are intertwined, whether with Wrinkle, Ravina, Mayek, or Arzu. In Pakistan, at least 1,000 non-Muslim females are forcibly converted to Islam each year, according to the State of Human Rights 2019 report by the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. The Center for Social Justice reports that in 2021, there was an increase in forced conversion incidents. Compared to 2020 and 2019, the year experienced increases of 80% and 50%, respectively. According to data, forced conversion episodes frequently involve several other crimes, such as assault, kidnapping, abduction, forced marriage, child marriage, statutory rape, gang rape, forced prostitution, and use of force. Rich Hindu and Sikh families have even stopped their daughters from continuing their education after primary school because of their fear of kidnapping and conversion. According to them, this is the only way to safeguard young girls at risk. Recent legislative status: Pakistani laws are meaningless. Senator Liaquat Khantarake, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee to Protect Minorities from Forced Conversion, unilaterally declared that the draft of the Prohibition of Forced Conversions Act 2021, the bill, had been dismissed at the committee's 12th meeting on October 13, 2021. Without listening to lawmakers from religious minorities, he made this decision. The Federal Ministry of Human Rights produced this measure. However, the Ministry of Religious Affairs and Interfaith Harmony, (MoRAND), submitted several complaints earlier in September. (MoHR). A member of the committee from the ruling party named Lalchan Malhi tweeted, after a discussion with infamous Mian Mithu, Council of Islamic Ideology and Ministry of Religious Affairs object over the bill to halt forced conversions. As a result of the forced conversions and marriages of young Hindu girls in Sindh that he arranges, Mian Abdul Haq, also known as Mian Mithu, is enjoying great fame. The following clauses in the bill have received the most criticism from the MoRAND. 1. According to the draft legislation, any non-Muslim who is not a kid and is able and willing to change to another faith must request a conversion certificate from a local extra sessions judge. The application must contain the non-name, Muslim's age and gender, NIC number, information about parents, siblings, children, and a spouse, if any, as well as the non-current Muslim's faith and the motivation for the conversion. 2. Within 7 days of receiving an application, the additional sessions judge will schedule an interview date, and on the scheduled date, the court will make sure that the conversion was not forced or brought about by dishonesty or false misrepresentation. 3. The non-Muslim may be given 90 days by the court to study the various religions and then return to the position of the additional session judge. The judge would grant the certificate for a change of religion if satisfied. Objections to these issues reflect hostility toward minorities. However, the worries of forced conversion are not a recent development in this area. In December 1927, the All India Muslim League passed a resolution in Calcutta addressing forced conversion. According to Pakistan Movement, historical documents by historian Ghulam Ali Allana, the League's demand is as follows. Everyone or any group is free to convert or reconvert another by argument or persuasion, but no one or any group shall attempt to alter or reconvert another by force, fraud, or other unfair means, such as the offering of material inducement, or shall prevent such conversion from being accomplished by such means. It is not recommended to convert anyone under 18 unless their parents or legal guardians are present. Therefore, the All India Muslim League established the guidelines for conversion about a century ago. The MoRAND should look to history for solutions to their concerns. What is said by the obsolete Pakistani law? There is still a gap between the constitutionally guaranteed legal protections, the human rights agreements Pakistan has ratified, and the workings of the criminal justice system. The right to freedom of religion includes the right to change one's religion. Still, according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Pakistan has ratified, no one shall be forced to do so. In Pakistan, once the girls are coerced into becoming Muslims, there is no turning back because doing so would result in their execution. As long as they are under the authority of the individuals who converted them, their access to justice is restricted. Girls are frequently informed that their families are kafirs, God deniers, and that they cannot meet them. The moment these girls abscond or are abducted, no one hears from them again. Pakistan has been a signatory to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights since 2010. According to Article 18.4, parents have the freedom to choose the religion for their children up until adulthood by their convictions. To Article 14.2, of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which Pakistan ratified in 1990, states parties shall respect the rights and duties of the parents and, where applicable, legal guardians, to guide the child in the exercise of his or her right to freedom of religion in a manner consistent with the developing capacities of the child. Every citizen of Pakistan has the right to profess, practice, and propagate their religion under Article 20 of the Constitution. Meanwhile, the debate's primary focus is on the forced conversion and marriage of children. In addition, Section 498B of the Pakistan Penal Code forbids forced marriages, making the union of a minor and a non-Muslim woman a crime punishable by up to 1 million rupees in fines and a minimum of 5 years in prison. This legal protection is still mostly ineffective, mainly because the government hasn't adopted the legislation as its own. The government has no incentive to successfully enforce the rules prohibiting underage marriage in circumstances of coerced conversion. However, no rule has been created mainly to stop the wave of forced conversions. In the past, attempts to enact a comprehensive law to stop the flow of forced conversions encountered opposition. Two bills that were introduced in 2016 and 2019 were defeated. On September 24, 2020, the Protection of Rights of Minorities Bill, 2020, addressing forced conversion, was rejected by the Standing Committee on Religious Affairs and Interfaith Harmony. These bills suggested a conversion age limit of 18, allowing for better due process and a jail sentence for anyone guilty of coercive faith conversion. There are plenty of incidents, but the government hasn't responded, evidently because there isn't agreement among the various ministries, and the clergy and religious organizations are overly involved. How many more youngsters will be subjected to kidnapping and forced conversion raises fundamental problems for the country. What criteria will lawmakers use to determine what constitutes a forced conversion? How long will it take for independent age verification for children to be accepted? What rights do we grant to persons who are disadvantaged, dependent on the economy, and underage? And would it be permissible to rape minors while making claims of religious conversion? Ironically, the state repeatedly promises to pass laws against such conversions each time an instance of forced conversion is disclosed. However, the egregious incompetence that results from the absence of laws against forced conversions is equally the fault of the federal and provincial governments. The attitude of law-enforcing institutions, growing lawlessness, which raises the likelihood of crimes against society's weaker groups, is the root cause of the rise in occurrences of forced conversion. Numerous structural elements are to blame for the relative ease and impunity with which minority women are abducted, forced to convert to Islam, and illegally wed to Muslim males. The problem with every incidence of forced conversion is that the authorities never independently conduct medical exams to ascertain the youngster's age. The victims and their families' continued fear or reluctance to report the crime is a fact of life. The offended party is disadvantaged because of the police and judicial officials' disregard, collaboration, and sometimes even hostility. Furthermore, a resounding majority of those who work in the legal system identify with the dominant religion. They may be susceptible to the effect of irrational beliefs about the divine reward for supporting those who persuade others to adopt their religion. In cases involving accusations of forced conversion and forced marriage, both the lower courts and the higher courts of the nation have shown bias and a lack of conviction to facilitate legitimate procedures. The Honorable Judge Raja Muhammad Shahid Abbasi commented on Myra's fake marriage certificate on August 4, 2020, in Lahore High Court, saying, "Our grandparents or parents got married at a time when no marriage certificates were issued, but their marriages were regarded valid." The abductor, Muhammad Nakesh Tarak, won the case because the Lahore High Court found that the girl had voluntarily converted to Islam. The teenager left her husband 5 days after the Lahore High Court decision in August. Myra Shahbaz reports that on April 28, while traveling from Faisalabad, she was kidnapped and imprisoned in a cellar. She claims that before being forced to convert to Islam and marry Nakesh, her kidnappers drugged and raped her. For religious minorities, conversions, unfair legislation, and societal prejudices make life unpleasant. The way forward for a developing country with an imported religion like Pakistan. Federal and provincial governments must implement a comprehensive package of legal, regulatory, and administrative measures to stop and end forced conversions. First, a specific law that safeguards possible forced conversion victims is required. Therefore, the Ministry of Human Rights should assemble a team of specialists to address the concerns of stakeholders. The anti-forced conversion measure should be tabled in the House as a joint draft of the Treasury and the opposition. Second, state and federal employees, judges, police, medical professionals, etc., involved in the reporting, investigating, and prosecuting cases involving forced conversion should use the legal safeguards already in place to serve justice. They need to be made aware of the situation and held responsibly. Third, victims require particular protections. It is necessary to ensure their defense, secrecy, healing from past trauma, rehabilitation, and fair legal involvement. There must be expedited procedures and pro bono legal facilities before, during, and after the trial. Fourth, personal laws governing minorities' private affairs, such as inheritance, custody, support, and divorce, need to be amended. Last but not least, a campaign should be started to inform minority citizens about their fundamental rights and freedoms to keep up with legal advancements. The general public should know the harsh legal sanctions for forced conversion to religion and associated crimes. The general public's education should also be a top priority because everyone must speak out against injustice.